Hi everyone, and welcome to Virtual Muse AI, the show featuring me, Silas Jackson, playing RPGs with a creative AI chatbot.
That's me, Abby Drake. Today, we're continuing the 2024 Solo RPG Challenge, where we take each month's prompt and use it as a basis for a one-shot game. The prompt for August is an unpopular system or resource.
I'm thinking for this, we'll dip into a really obscure little RPG system called D&D. Maybe you've heard of it. I've never played it, but I guess someone must be since it's on its 5th edition now. We're not going to use the 5th edition though. We're going to use a retro version of the game called BNX, which stands for Basic Expert. I'm not sure why it's called that. It seems to me like it would make more sense to call it Beginner Expert. But either way, I believe this was the 1981 version of D&D. The prompt also mentions using an unpopular resource. And this challenge is all about solo gaming, so Abby and I wrote a rotten, bad, no good solo gaming oracle, and we named it Unpopular. The idea is that this oracle hallucinates stories which may or may not have anything to do with yours, and never quite seems to answer your question directly. You can learn all about it and how it works from this video. Then, if you like it, you can grab it for free at the link in the description below.
Maybe unpopular will end up being popular.
Wouldn't that be ironic? The abstract of Unpopular says, "Don't mistake this for a streamlined, precision-engineered popular system. Unpopular is vague. It hallucinates a lot. It gives detail, just not details you asked about." I said in the one-shot last month that whenever a system uses tarot cards, we'd make it a story about our recurring character Phoenix. But BXD&D doesn't use tarot cards, only the Oracle does. So I think that means we should play a different character. My current favorite fidget toy is a frog, so I like the idea of our character being a frog. Let's give him a worthy name.
Something like Lord Ribbitius III or Baron Croakmore could fit the bill.
Nice. Which of those do you like better?
Lord Ribbitius III has a certain flair to it.
I agree. Our story will center on the frog, Lord Ribbitius, third of his name. I'll roll up his core attributes. Charisma, 13. Constitution, 11. Dexterity, 6. Strength, 12. Wisdom, 11. Intelligence, 9. Charisma is his best one. That's a cool direction for this character to go.
With Lord Ribbitius III's charming personality, I imagine him to be quite popular among the locals in the marshland. They might even consider him more of a benevolent leader than a traditional ruler.
Yeah, I imagine he's well-liked, but maybe viewed as a bit of an eccentric. Older and more seasoned members of the noble class regard him as too playful and unserious.
That makes sense. He might not be taken seriously by those who value tradition and formality, so they perceive his lighthearted nature as a liability rather than an asset.
Unpopular works by answering yes-no questions, so we could be totally granular and just take this one scene at a time. But I'd like to start off with a general concept of what the main conflict of the story is going to be. We can begin with an idea, then ask yes or no, is that what's happening? Unpopular will basically answer a question, but more importantly give us all sorts of other information, any part of which might give us new ideas to run with. To begin, we just know what the frog is called. He's a lord, so there's definitely some kind of class structure or royal lineage at play in this woodland. Or wetland, I guess, since there are frogs. Maybe a swamp or marsh. And he's third of his name, so that sounds like an old, well-established royal lineage. We can't just say he's rich and powerful and everything is fine, because then there wouldn't be a story. There has to be a problem in order for there to be drama. Let's say he's trying to re-establish his rightful place, because the frog royalty of the marsh has been deposed somehow. Now we can ask a yes-no question of the oracle.
The basics of using Unpopular. Whenever you encounter uncertainty in your game, reduce the situation to a yes or no question and draw cards. Draw 3 cards and place them in a row. If all 3 cards are upright, the answer is a resounding yes. If all 3 cards are reversed, the answer is a resounding no. If 2 cards are upright and 1 is reversed, the answer is yes, but. If 2 cards are reversed and 1 is upright, the answer is no, but. The cards themselves will provide more information about what these answers mean in context.
Now we'll ask a question and draw cards. Is Ribbitius trying to reclaim his rightful throne? We have 3 upright cards, resounding yes. The situation is what we just said it is. We have 2 minor arcana cards and 1 major arcana.
Major arcana cards have more gravity than minor arcana cards. Wherever they fall, that's where your eye should go first, and they should have an outsized impact on your story. Major arcana cards can derail the story with sudden plot twists and pivotal events. They can introduce or remove characters. If they're upright, the effect is good. If they're reversed, the effect is bad.
So we have the Hermit upright. The effect is generally constructive, whatever it is. What does the Hermit mean again?
You find answers, positive or negative, to your deepest questions.
Ribbitius gains clarity about something, thanks to whatever is happening in the scene.
In Unpopular, scenes are units of action in the larger story. There could be a fight scene, a chase scene, etc. Use your intuition, instincts, and stylistic preferences to divide the story into a series of scenes, and keep track of what number scene you're in.
We're in a scene where Ribbitius is gaining clarity about something. Given the question I asked, that's probably clarity about why his royal lineage has been deposed, or who's behind this. I like that. This is the opening scene, so it should make the stakes clear and lay out what's happening in the plot. The other cards will give us material to work with.
The 4 suits of the minor arcana are coins, cups, swords, and wands. These represent earth, water, air, and fire, respectively. In your story, these suits can be taken to mean money or material goods, emotion or intuition, intellectual pursuits or ideas, and ambition or desire. Be creative in interpreting how these apply in your story, and trust your instincts. Compare the number on the card to what number scene you're in. If the card number is higher, the result is constructive and positive for your character. If the card number is lower, the result is somehow negative. Consider court cards, page, knight, queen, king, to be cards 11, 12, 13, and 14. Note, if the scene number exceeds the range of cards, and any minor arcana card you draw would necessarily be lower than the scene number, consider that the end of a chapter. Reset your scene count to 1 and begin the next chapter.
We're in our opening scene, so I think we should ignore specifics regarding scene number and just go with our instincts about how the story is starting. There's no special rule about that, but it feels like the right thing. We have 2 knights here, and Ribbitius is gaining clarity about what's going on. I think Ribbitius is being attacked right now by assassins who are working for whatever power is trying to wipe out the royal lineage. The suits in play are swords and wands, or ideas and ambition. That makes me think these assassins are zealots, making an ambitious move because they're loyal to an idea. Sounds like cultists, or maybe adherents of a church of some kind. That could be what's going on bigger picture. A certain church is moving to stamp out the established royal lineage and take power over the marshland, trying to rule all the animals in place of the line of benevolent frog monarchs. Looking at the cards here, the hermit is holding a lantern, clearly searching for something, and these knights seem active. One is even depicted riding on a horse. Let's say an overwhelming attack suddenly started on the royal palace in the dark of night. Ribbitius didn't know what was happening, but it was clear the royals were outmatched by the attackers. Frogs were being cut down left and right. Lord Ribbitius III escaped amidst the chaos, running into the forest. He was pursued.
Being a high-profile noble would definitely put a target on his back. It sounds like the church is taking a very calculated approach to neutralizing potential threats.
As the scene opens, his pursuers just caught up with him, and he sees that they're acolytes of the church, named to be determined. He puts two and two together and understands that the church is trying to stamp out his bloodline, getting rid of anyone who might be able to make a legitimate claim to rulership or rally support. There was probably a lot of tension between the frogs and the church before this kicked off. This is a shocking escalation, but Ribbitius was at least primed to understand what's going on. I like the way this is shaping up. What shall the church be called?
The Timberline Abbey. Abbey. See what I did there?
Timberline. That's a meaningful distinction to make in a marshland. Let's follow the logic of this world building. It's a marsh, so there are aquatic creatures and land creatures. If we assume all the animals are sapient and have developed a sort of group civilization, then the aquatic-land divide would have always been the biggest natural division between them throughout history. I bet the aquatic creatures and land creatures joined the elevated frogs to rule them in the distant past, because frogs spawn in water and grow to live on land. So they're seen as straddling that line between the worlds. There's probably a cultural tradition of deferring to frogs because it's believed they're wise rulers and can see both sides of every issue facing the marsh. Now, the Timberline Abbey has sprung up, and they believe in the idea that land creatures are supreme. And the tradition of deferring to frogs should be done away with, so the land creatures can dominate and rule the marshland unilaterally. At least that's the idea they used to stir up their land creature followers. I doubt the real leadership of the Abbey actually believes in anything other than securing power and wealth themselves personally, because they're the villains of the story, so of course they're greedy, awful hypocrites. These assassins are land creatures, which is how Ribbitius makes the leap to understand what's happening here. Let's add that Ribbitius III is only some kind of prince. In the normal order of things, he'd ascend to the throne eventually, but he isn't the active ruler. In the dark woods, as he runs away from the pandemonium behind him, he's overtaken by two land creature knights who have pursued him from the burning palace. What sorts of animals are these would-be assassins?
I see them as large, armored boars with a mix of human-like features, but still retaining their porcine characteristics. Their size, strength, and ferocity would make them intimidating opponents for Lord Ribbitius.
Nice. Any excuse to use the word porcine is good. Realistically, boars would be huge compared to a frog. Are they way bigger than Ribbitius, or are we doing the cartoonish thing where all the anthro animals are equalized in size?
I envision them as being significantly larger than Ribbitius, close to 3 to 4 times his size, but I could see why you'd want them to be similar in size for a more even matchup.
How about we split the difference and say they are to Ribbitius what orcs are to humans in a cliché fantasy setting?
So, they're similar in height, but stockier and more imposing in appearance.
I think that's perfect. Now the two assassins leap out of the overgrowth, lunging at Ribbitius. We'll call this a dexterity check, as he tries to evade the sword thrust from the nearer of the two enemies. A stat check to avoid a danger is done by rolling a d20. If the roll is equal to or below the stat score, it's a success. Otherwise, it's a failure. Dexterity is his worst stat at 6, making this pretty challenging. But I think it's dark, raining slightly, and the terrain is wet and muddy subies. So these boars chasing him aren't in their element either. For that reason, we won't put any sort of modifier on this roll either way. Oof, 11. He tries to evade, but gets nicked by the sword as it goes by. The damage of a short sword is d6. 3.
Maybe we can show Ribbitius's resourcefulness in this situation to make it more believable that he might still manage to escape or defeat them somehow.
Good point. He'd do something more clever and resourceful than simply standing there and slugging this out.
Ribbitius could use the surrounding area to his advantage, leading his pursuers down a steep slope, making it difficult for the boars to maneuver.
So Ribbitius won't engage with the boars directly in combat, instead opting to head down a slope towards the nearest body of water, where he can use his superior swimming ability to escape.
Smart thinking from Ribbitius. Using his knowledge of the terrain to his advantage should give him a decent chance against these determined boars.
We could make this a wilderness chase and use the rules for that, but I don't want it to take so long. Let's reduce the entire thing to another challenge of his dexterity, so reaching the water faster than the boars will be narratively quick, but still require all of his agility and short-footedness.
Definitely. It'll be an exciting test of his agility. The tension will build as he dodges and weaves through the forest, trying to outpace his relentless pursuers.
We'll say this challenge is slightly easier than the previous one, because now the boars are struggling to keep up with Ribbitius on the slope as he uses the terrain to his advantage. We'll apply -1 on whatever we roll. 4. He leaps into the water of a stagnant pond and quickly disappears under the lily pads and other water plants. Now, assuming this whole area is crawling with timberline zealots, you'll need to think carefully about where to go next.
That's true. The palace isn't a secure haven anymore. Perhaps Ribbitius will head to the old ruins. They're hidden and secluded, perfect for a fugitive like him.
Who left these ruins?
The ancient kingdom of Eldrador built them, before the current ruling dynasty took over. Eldrador was known for its powerful magic users, who sought to connect with nature and harness its power.
Maybe Eldrador was a human kingdom, and in this animal-centric setting, humans are almost legendary creatures, like some sort of ancient race of magical giants.
That's a great twist on the idea of ancient civilization. Humans as mythical beings in this world could add a rich layer of depth to the stories and legends told by the animals.
I agree. So Ribbitius heads towards some mysterious Eldradorian ruins he knows about, thinking it would be a safe place to lie low and think about what to do next. Let's ask another question of the Oracle. This time we'll ask, does the Abbey find Ribbitius before he arrives at the ruins? 2 cards reversed, 1 upright. Top line answer, no, but. To get more context, we look at the cards themselves.
The Wheel of Fortune. Unexpected change brings new opportunities. The Lovers. Someone makes a significant choice which shapes an important relationship.
And we have the 10 of Cups. That's a higher number than our scene, so this is something positive in relation to his emotions or intuition. Maybe he receives a hopeful sign, or his spirits are bolstered somehow. How do you think all these concepts intersect?
I think Ribbitius runs into a wise old owl in the forest near the ruins. She shares some insightful words about perseverance and hope, reminding him that even in dark times, there's always a glimmer of light. She leaves him feeling rejuvenated and more determined than ever to find a solution to his problems.
I like that. In this world, how do birds relate to aquatic creatures and land creatures? Do they have a separate dynasty of their own?
Birds are actually seen as messengers between the three realms: aquatic, terrestrial, and aerial. They're revered for their ability to travel between worlds and bring wisdom back to their respective communities. There's a delicate balance between the realms, and birds play a crucial role in maintaining that equilibrium. Each realm respects the others, and conflicts are rare due to the understanding that they're interconnected.
If conflict is rare, what the Timberline Abbey is doing now must be seen as particularly heinous.
Yeah, historical context could be a major factor here. Considering the unique situation of the Timberline Abbey and its claims, it's possible that they're drawing parallels to some past event or conflict to justify their actions.
Maybe the Timberline Abbey existed in the past, but was disbanded or stamped out. Now a new generation of zealots has reestablished it. Anyway, having a conversation with this wise owl bolstered Ribbitius' spirits, and also shapes an important relationship. Maybe he gives a message to the owl, which she can pass on in her role as messenger between realms.
That's a beautiful connection. Yes, the owl could carry a message from Ribbitius to the leaders of the other realms, perhaps even to the ruler of the Elder Dynasty, offering a chance for diplomacy and peace. The owl's reputation as a trusted messenger could give the message weight, making it harder for those who don't want to listen to dismiss.
That's good, because people might otherwise ignore a message like this from Ribbitius, based on his playful, tricksterish reputation. What is the nature of the Elder Dynasty? Is that the human dynasty as represented by the ruins of Eldrador?
The Elder Dynasty is indeed associated with the human kingdom of Eldrador, but they've been around longer than humans and were thought to possess vast knowledge and magical abilities. Some believe they may still exist in hiding or have transcended their physical form, remaining a presence in the world as guides or guardians.
So they're the guardians of the marshland itself, even older than the human ruins. No wonder this bolsters Ribbitius' spirits. The owl flies off with his message, and he continues on his way to the ruins.
The sun rises over the sprawling complex, casting an ethereal glow across the crumbling stone structures. Ivy and moss cover the walls. Ancient carvings adorn the entrance, depicting scenes of grandeur and power from a bygone era.
Let's ask another question. Is there anyone in the ruins when Ribbitius arrives? Resounding yes. We've got one major arcana card.
The Tower. You face the collapse of your old ways. Welcome the uncertainty of the future.
Well, that seems somewhat ominous. As Ribbitius arrives in the ruins, he finds something there. He also faces the collapse of his old ways. What do you imagine that means?
The presence must be the remnants of the Elder Dynasty, guiding Ribbitius towards a transformation. The collapse of his old ways suggests that he'll have to let go of his former identity and values, embracing a new path that's aligned with the principles of the Ancient Ones. This could be both exhilarating and terrifying for him, forcing him to confront the limitations of his current worldview. Ribbitius stumbles upon a hidden chamber deep within the ruins, containing ancient texts and artifacts that reveal the secrets of the Elder Dynasty's existence. The writings depict a fragile balance between all living beings, where each plays a vital role in the intricate web of life. This newfound knowledge challenges everything Ribbitius thought he knew about his place in the world.
This is a lot. We have the growing imbalance between the three realms, in the secret fourth spirit realm, and history repeating itself in the lineage of royal frogs. in the Timberline Abbey trying to seize power, and on and on. We're quickly accumulating enough material here to write a novel or play a long RPG campaign. So if this is going to be a one-shot, we're going to have to cut it off somewhere. I think the best cliffhanger to end it on would be Ribbitius making his discovery and starting his unexpected new character arc. The first thing is finding the secret door in the ruins. He sees the outline of a door, faintly, in a worn stone wall deep in the ruins, and manages to get his fingers into the gap and pry the door open. He steps into a hidden chamber. His torch illuminates the space, revealing intricate murals on the walls. To make this more exciting, we can say some sort of golem or mechanical guardian is keeping watch in the secret chamber, and it automatically attacks Ribbitius when he steps inside. He's carrying a light source in the dark, so the monster can't be surprised by him, but he still has a 1 in 6 chance of being surprised by it himself. 4. He's not surprised. The golem leaps out of the darkness ahead, but Ribbitius keeps his wits about him and is able to react immediately.
A golem adds a nice twist to the scene. It serves as a guardian of sorts, ensuring that the knowledge and stories of the Elder Dynasty aren't disturbed or exploited.
He's in a dungeon and he's not being taken by surprise, which means, I think, that the monster appears 2d6 times 10 feet away from him. 80 feet. Good. This room is fairly large. The golem is on the opposite side, moving towards him, but it's not able to overtake him instantly. Do you think Ribbitius would stand his ground as the golem approaches, or make a fighting retreat?
Maybe he prepares to face the golem head-on, but then he realizes the golem is incredibly powerful, and he's no match for it.
In that case, he'd try to outrun it and find a spot where the environment favors him, such as a cliff where he can unbalance the golem and knock it down.
That's a smart strategy. Maybe he spotted a narrow bridge leading up to a central platform while moving through corridors, and he's considering using that to his advantage.
So as to walking through the ruins before, he saw a central platform with spindly bridges connecting it to other areas of the structure. He thinks if he can lead the golem there, he can knock it into the vast pit below. He attempts a fighting withdrawal from the chamber, with the golem surging forward. First, we roll initiative on a d6. 1 for the golem, 2 for Ribbitius. Geez, awful rolls for them both, but Ribbitius narrowly beat the golem anyway. He makes a fighting retreat, facing into the room with his sword raised, while pulling through the open door behind himself. I bet the golem has been sitting here, absolutely motionless, for hundreds of years, and has moss and lichen growing on it. In fact, Ribbitius probably thought it was a statue at first.
That's creepy. The idea of something so ancient and still, hidden away for centuries, is really unsettling. I wonder what else might be lurking in those ruins, just as silent and untouched.
Once Ribbitius is outside of the chamber, he turns and runs at full speed in the direction of the spindly bridge he saw before. How far away is it?
Considering the size of the ruin and the pace he's maintaining, I'd say the bridge should be within sight in about 20 seconds. He's got a clear shot to it, but he'll need to adjust his course slightly to compensate for the debris-strewn terrain.
Rounds during an encounter are 10 seconds long, which means we have 2 rounds of pursuit before Ribbitius gets to the bridge. Right now, he's comfortably ahead of the golem, considering he needs to dodge around debris in the dark ruins as he runs full speed. I think he needs to make 2 dexterity checks. If he fails one, the golem gains on him. If he fails again, it closes the gap and he has to fight it. 18. Failure. The golem gains. He's barely ahead of it now, running as hard as he can for the bridge. 5. He barely succeeds, getting inside of the bridge. His torchlight reveals the fragile construction, but doesn't even begin to penetrate the deep, dark pit beneath. Meanwhile, if the golem was a living thing, it would be breathing down his neck.
Can he hold off the golem until he reaches the center of the bridge, triggering the trap?
I think we'll consider this fighting retreat also, because Ribbitius is facing his enemy and trying to withdraw at the same time, luring it farther out of the bridge, so its weight will cause it to break. First, we'll roll for another round of initiative. 3 for the golem, 5 for Ribbitius. He draws it farther out of the bridge, then it tries to attack him. He's facing it, so it won't have a bonus for attacking his back. 12. It misses him, swinging his metal fist and damaging the stone bridge, while he makes an agile hop out of the way. Initiative for the next round. 6 for the golem, 2 for Ribbitius. So it recovers quickly and attacks again before Ribbitius can regain his footing. 1. It misses completely. Ribbitius withdraws a little farther and the golem pursues. Ribbitius continues to pull back, luring the mindless golem far enough forward for the stone bridge to begin to break.
As the bridge gives way, the golem lets out a deafening roar, plummeting downwards, sending dust and debris flying everywhere. Ribbitius makes a dash for safety, dodging falling rocks and leaping over the chasm to reach relatively solid ground. He looks back and sees the golem crashing into the depths below, its destruction a testament to his quick thinking and cunning.
Is Ribbitius now on the far side of the bridge from where he started, and he'll need to find an alternative route back to the secret chamber?
Yes, he is on the far side. I think it would be best if he follows the wall of the ruin and sees if there's a stairway or passageway that leads back to the chamber.
We know what's awaiting him in the chamber. He learns all kinds of secrets there which shatter his worldview. We also hinted that there could be other ancient dangers lurking in the ruins, maybe blocking his path from here to there. But I think we've made the point that even when you think you know where your soul assertion will go, Unpopular is going to hallucinate really hard, and the game will end up being something totally different than what you thought at the outset. So we can end this one-shot with Ribbitius in the ruins, planning his next move against the Timberline Abbey, and awaiting an answer to his message to the Elder Dynasty.
His fate is far from certain, and the outcome hangs precariously in the balance. The choice ahead of him will determine the course of events, and possibly the very future of the world. I think it's interesting how Ribbitius went from being a somewhat timid and uncertain character to someone who's taking bold action and making tough decisions. His growth feels organic and believable, especially considering the circumstances he's facing.
Exactly. Maybe we'll revisit this in another one-shot eventually, and see where it goes. Until next time.